Greetings. This is ENS News 1 and ENS News 2 with the Weekender for the weekend of, it's Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to everyone. And in regard to that, I'd like to say that ENS News 1, the Weekender, has decided to give a little good news this weekend. And in that vein, ENS News 1 and I can report on simply some tales, some accounts that have been messaged to the Weekender in regard to what may be and what others may consider miracles. Well, given that this is Easter Sunday, let's hear about a few miracles that have transpired. Well, there's one story about a man who said that he had gotten off work pretty late, about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning, and he was driving down the street, and the weather was not so good, but he saw someone who was in distress. So he stopped to offer a little help. Well, it wound up that the person, the driver of the vehicle, gave the other person a ride to where they were going. And on the way, they did not anything more than exchange accounts about how good God had been in their lives. Well, it turned out they had a wreck. Another vehicle, just as they said that they turned a corner or a curve, and another vehicle was careening down the street and plowed right into their vehicle. As it turned out, after all the smoke and everything cleared, the two people who were in the vehicle climbed out of the car, and they were safe, uninjured, and they were in perfect condition. The other person who was in the third vehicle, or the second vehicle rather, was also uninjured. All three people were safe and totally uninjured in that instance. Could it have been because they were talking about and because they were faithful about God? Well, there was another instance that transpired where it involved one woman who said she was driving down the street on a slippery road at pretty late at night, she said. And what transpired was that a car, as she was driving, a car cut in front of her. She said she swerved to miss the vehicle and suddenly found herself in a roll. She said that her car rolled 2 or 3 times at least. And then when it stopped, she said that she crawled out of a broken open window. The car was total, and she got out of the vehicle alive. She sustained a minor injury to her neck, but everything else was in perfectly good shape, intact, and she's alive today. She was alive today to give account of that miracle. The third miracle, and this one, it's kind of different, but this one woman says she was walking down the street on her way to the grocery store, and as she walked to the grocery store, she reached an intersection and had to stop and wait for the light. So she's standing there waiting for the light, and the light turns green, and for some reason she couldn't move. She was frozen in time. And just as she looked up, she saw this little red sports car that was flying down the street in front of her. She said she followed the sports car, looking at it, watching it, and the sports car was just flying so fast that it nearly ran into this huge truck that pulled out in the intersection. And just as it pulled out, just as the red car reached the big truck that pulled out in the intersection, the big truck turned away in the direction away from the car. The car missed the truck entirely. If those aren't miracles, then I don't know what miracles might be. But I don't know, maybe somebody doesn't think that they are, but guess what? I think they're miracles. And I just like to share those with you on this Easter Sunday, and just want to wish you a happy Easter. And it's quite possible that miracles and wonders do still happen. Have a great Easter, and thank you for stopping by. See you next weekend on The Weekender.